Tim and Joe will soon know this car inside out, and they need to. It's about to become home for the next 12 months. With just 100 left in the world, their trip coincides with the 50th anniversary of the Morris Oxford.
Because it's so old and simple, we're hoping that maintaining it will be really easy. But also in India, they still make a car very similar to the Morris Oxford, and therefore they have the expertise and also they have the parts.
The journey will take them thousands of miles across 5 major stretches of water from Oxford all the way through Europe, North Africa, India, Australia to New Zealand.
This was just an opportunity that came up, and the idea developed from being a few weeks overseas visiting a few friends to being the massive challenge, adventure of a lifetime, driving from one side of the world to the other.
The adventure starts on the 5th of May. Over the coming months, they hope to raise £10,000 for the British Red Cross. Alistair Fee, BBC South Today. Finishing touches to a real collector's car. There are just 100 of these Cowley-built motors left in the world. There's no simple way to drive from one side of the world to another. This trip will see Joe and Tim travel thousands of miles and cross 5 major stretches of water.
We're travelling really light, and we're assuming basically that we're going backpacking, but we just happen to have the car with us. So we're just taking shorts, t-shirts, not an awful lot more than that. Medicines, spares for the car. We're keeping it absolutely to a minimum.
And what better gift to take to the furthest Oxford in the world than a plaque of the city's coat of arms? This trip will take so long, by the time they return, Oxford will have a new mayor to welcome them back home.
We've still got to collect our final visa as we travel through London, and then we're off. And I just can't quite believe that we're actually about to leave UK. I don't think I'll believe it till I'm actually on the ferry crossing the channel. And then we hit Africa, we hit India. It's just going to be amazing.
Underway at last, it will be a year before Tim and Joe finally reach their destination. It's hoped the journey will raise £10,000 for the British Red Cross. Alistair Fee, BBC South Today, Oxford. Crossing the first of 5 major stretches of water on an adventure of a lifetime. Having left Oxford, UK, for Tim Nicholson and Joanne Bowlt, the adventure really starts here on the English Channel.
2 hours sleep last night packing, and I'm very tired, but very happy to be on our way. A bit concerned that we're late already, behind schedule, but really happy to be on our way, and the last minute hiccups with the car have been resolved.
Driving through the first major city en route, Paris. Europe is the first leg of a 12-month trip that will see them travel through North Africa, India, Australia, all the way to New Zealand. On their way south, a night in an old French farmhouse, but this journey is going to be far from luxurious. Tim and Joanne reached Spain in less than a week, and it was soon time to rough it a bit.
5th night, in the car, on the bench seats. Not the best night's sleep, but we were pretty tired, so actually we slept okay. And then quite an early start on the road again.
The trip coincides with the 50th anniversary of the Morris Oxford, and with just 100 left in the world, it's proving to grab plenty of attention along the way.
We stayed last night with a lovely couple who, through a friend of theirs called Aled, emailed us to invite us to stay, having seen us through their satellite on BBC South Today, and they also heard us on the radio too. So we stayed with them, they cooked a fabulous meal, and we just had a lovely evening. It's really good.
Just 10 days into the journey, and it's already time to leave Europe and cross the second stretch of water to Tangier on the north coast of Morocco from the most southerly point in Spain. Across the trip, Tim and Joanne hope to raise £10,000 for the British Red Cross. Alistair Fee, BBC South Today. It's not easy steering a right-hand drive on the right side of the road. This may be a classic English car, but when it comes to the rules of the road, they've had to adapt a bit. After passing through Europe in just 10 days, North Africa has proved somewhat more eventful.
Joe was doing some filming. Some little urchin leaned in through the window, stole my mobile phone and legged it off up the hill into the gates. I jumped out the car with the car running and our bags still inside, and legged it after him. he realised I was in pursuit and threw the mobile phone in the air. Joe merely carried on filming, oblivious to what had just happened. I, meanwhile, was a bit shaky, having just been robbed, but recovered my phone.
No major problems with the car, which celebrates its 50th anniversary this year. There are just 100 Morris Oxfords left. It's probably fair to say Tim and Joanne's has done the most mileage. 12 months on the road, and they're not going without some of life's little luxuries, especially when they've got something to celebrate.
Today is a very important day because it's Joe's birthday.
I'm not going to say how old I am. It's my birthday, and I've had 2 cards, which I brought with me, not to be opened until today, from my grandma and from my sister, which is lovely. I'm having a really good breakfast, incredible selection of cakes and pastries.
On a trip that will see Tim and Joe travel from one side of the world to another, it's a timely reminder that what you can do in one place might land you in trouble somewhere else. After filming a local policeman, they were arrested on the spot and taken to see the chief.
Joe then had to get the video camera out, show them the piece of film that she took, and then record over the footage which had the policeman in with a lens cap on so that it was completely blanked out. At this stage they all seemed pretty amused, and one of them was asking how much the camera was, and Joe then explained that the camera had been lent to us by the BBC. My heart sank at this point because I thought they might not be too chuffed to think that we're actually filming for the BBC. Anyway, it wasn't a problem.
The car may be 50 years old, but when it comes to their traveller's journal, you couldn't get more up to date. With many miles of dusty road to travel, there's plenty of time to keep on top of their diary. Joe and Tim's trip is in aid of the Red Cross. They now have 3 countries behind them, but they've plenty more to go. Next stop, Algeria. Alistair Fee, BBC South Today. Home cooking and a bed for the night. Despite a warning from the British Embassy not to travel to Algeria, there's been no shortage of good hospitality. In fact, people were so pleased to see Tim and Joanne, they even found themselves guests at a local wedding. So far, their journey has seen them travel from Oxford, UK, through France, Spain and Morocco.
This is our last day in Algeria. We crossed the border to Tunisia this afternoon. We're just driving up from Constantine to Annaba. We're hoping that the driving standards will improve in Tunisia, because here it's like wacky races, and we'll be quite relieved to have survived the experience. Here we go. Oh Lord.
A relaxing meal in the more predictable and tourist-friendly country of Tunisia. But when you're driving from one side of the world to the other, you never really know what's going to happen next.
It's 3:15 in the morning. We've just woken up because of the call to prayer. We've got 2 mosques quite close by, and they seem to compete with each other to be the loudest. So it's a bit disturbing.
There are less than 100 Morris Oxford cars left in the world, and this year the car celebrates its 50th anniversary. It may be lacking a few modern features, but it's holding up to some pretty unusual terrain. Life on the road means you can't be too choosy where you lay your head for the night. Deep in the Tunisian desert, Tim and Joanne found themselves going underground.
The hotel's a series of these circular courtyards connected by tunnels, and off each courtyard there are several rooms dug into the earth, I guess. We're actually sitting in one of those. This is our bedroom for the night. There are 8 beds in here, but apparently there are only 2 of us staying, which is quite nice. It's reasonably smelly, but it's actually really cool, which is what you'd expect. It's pretty hot outside, and today was our hottest day yet.
So we left England and we drove through France and Spain.
From Tunisia into Libya, wherever they've gone, this trip has really grabbed people's attention. Along the way, Tim and Joanne are holding short presentations. If all goes to plan, they hope to arrive in Oxford, New Zealand in February next year. Alistair Fee, BBC South Today.